Welcome to the Paul Has Fun podcast. My name is Paul, and on this podcast, I document my life and interests. And who am I? I'm a 40-plus-year-old, born and raised New Yorker. My interests being movies and TV, specifically in the genres of fantasy action, sci-fi, horror, superhero movies, and comedies. I grew up listening and dancing to hip-hop, house music, and now it's dancehall reggae. I'm also into video games, comics, action figures, pro wrestling, self-development material such as books, podcasts, and videos. I'm also into a plant-based lifestyle. I've been an eBay seller for over 20 years, and I love weird but true stories. I discuss all of this, and sometimes even other topics, on this podcast. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Welcome back to the podcast, or if this is your first time, happy to have you here. On this episode, I'm going to be going through 4 movie reviews that I've done within the last few months with friends. Jason G. Mark also joins us for one of the reviews, and I just kind of been sitting on them. I've been a little lazy with these. I've edited these as well to kind of get out all the uhs and ums and kind of tripped up words, and I'm not successful 100% with it, but just want to make it a much more pleasurable experience for you, the listener. In this review, I have 4 movie reviews. These movies came out. We did these reviews as soon as we got out of the theater at the AMC 25, right in the heart of Times Square. And the movies reviewed in this episode are Kong and Godzilla, The New Empire, I think that's what it's called. The latest Bad Boys movie, also Furiosa, and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. But no long talk, let's go ahead and get right on into it. We just finished coming out of seeing Godzilla, Kong, New Empire?
The New Empire
That's
at the AMC Empire on
exactly.
40 Deuce.
That's right. Well, we've seen many movies here. Thoughts initially, I thought this movie was too long. This is not just exclusive to this movie, where a lot of times, because the movie that came to mind was Skull Island, where it's kind of like an hour, and even the original King Kong, the Peter Jackson King Kong, was like almost like an hour of setup before you get to the good stuff.
Right.
And I just did not care for this hour of setup. The movie visually, from the beginning to the end, I thought looked stunning, really. Like all the monster stuff, and like the setting of the Hollow Earth, and the setting of the, Monarch, and like visually fantastic. But I just did not care for this first hour, and I even dozed off from the beginning. And I was telling Jason, hey, make sure you get some rest before coming to the movies to not doze off. And I was the first one that dozed off. But and the setup, reflecting back, it was kind of necessary to go ahead and set up what came later, but I just did not care for it. I was just this is just like a series of events, and so when they introduced, if we're talking full spoilers here, like this Scar King character, who's the big bad, kind of in the movie, and you're like sitting there, and there's a lot of stuff happening, but it's just like, why? What's happening? Like, where are we going with this? And then, for me, the movie really picked up and the Scar King character was introduced, and that second, I forgot the frost monster's name. That's when it really picked up. But yeah, I was just like, what are we doing? Maybe even a little teeny bit bored. It was good to see returning characters. No Millie Bobby Brown in this one. No Alex Skarsgård. They were both in the previous Godzilla movie. Rebecca Hall is back. She was very good, and and as well as the daughter character, gave a lot of emotional moments where even I got like a little emotional. You have Dan Stevens in here, who just kind of could have been played by anybody, kind of,
What character was he?
He was a trapper, like the guy.
That guy.
I mean, he was a fun character, but he could honestly, he didn't have to be Dan Stevens. And then Tyree, I forget his name. I know it's Tyree something. He was good, but he just kind of was annoying a little bit as well. But those are my initial thoughts, Jason. But I have some more thoughts. But what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, so I agree with you with that. The first half, it's just too much going on. Like, you don't have to have these like super complex stories, and it's not even a complex story, but it's just too much going on. The editing is like very choppy. However, it does redeem itself a lot in the second half. But the thing is that it's just, even with the second half, even though with all the great fighting and the return of Mothra, and how Mothra gets Kong and Godzilla together to like fight this other one, like when Mothra comes and it's like, yeah, Mothra is gonna make them team up and fight. It just happens too quickly. The editing is so crazy, and then they go to Rio, and it's like, what's going on? It's like all over the place. I mean, it's a lot of fun fighting and comic book style, action. A lot of it is like old school, Godzilla movies where it's like they're almost WWE wrestling fights, and that's a lot of fun. So I just wish it was a little tighter. You don't have to have all this stuff going on, like back and forth and choppy this, choppy. It's just.
When you mean
I thought
stuff,
the editing.
What do you mean by all this stuff? When you say all this stuff, what do you mean?
I just think the editing was it's just too all over the place. They're going back and forth. It's not smooth editing.
Well, give me an example.
They go into Rio. All of a sudden, like they show like Mothra saving the back in the Hollow Earth, and then it's like they're going back and forth, and then they don't allow us to have a moment to appreciate what was happening. They just keep going too fast. It's like Armageddon editing. It's like every 2 seconds you got to have a cut. I liked Armageddon generally, but I don't like that the average length of a shot was 1.5 seconds. You know what I mean? That's my major complaint. That's what I mean by the editing. Let it breathe a little. Godzilla -1 is a simple story. It's not that crazy. Like, you're letting the characters talk. Come on, you have nice characters with the kid and with Godzilla. And it's just too much back and forth all the time.
What Godzilla -1 is that the human story was actually interesting.
Right.
Even though the characters in Godzilla -1 were a little over dramatic and a little almost soap opera-ish at moments.
Yes.
But still,
very well done.
The human story was very good, and then like Godzilla kind of added to it. Here, so it's a Godzilla movie, a monster movie, and then I love like the whole Hollow Earth thing and the look of it because it gives it a nice sci-fi feel, right? And then it's a disaster movie as well because the amount of humans that get killed in this movie,
especially in Rio, at the end,
destroy these places, But that's kind of like the fun part of it too. I like the character designs of that Scar King, the evil monkey character. Shima, I think, was the name of the ice creature that initially you think he's kind of small. But when you see him next to Godzilla, he's bigger than Godzilla. I was like, what the hell?
No, and then even the Scar King, like, you don't realize how big he is until he gets to Rio, and then he's like towering over buildings.
Exactly. He even looks smaller than King Kong.
But
he looked like slimmer. They look about the same height, but he looked like slimmer. But yeah, they were when they got to a human city, you notice like how big they were, especially like I said, this ice character. And that was cool. Like the fights were cool. The introduction of this little monkey character was cool too. Was along for the ride, and the King Kong made a friend with this small little monkey character. Who was apprehensive about King Kong initially, but then King Kong won him over. But I see your point that it's definitely a spaghetti platter, and everything's on there just at the same time, it's just all over.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. But I mean, it's still. Is an enjoyable movie. I would still say thumbs up.
The second half,
the second half redeems it.
Yeah, because the first half is just like a series of events. It felt like the first half could have been a streaming series in the sense of all right, let's do one episode, this happens. The next episode, this happens.
Right.
The rest of the whole thing is like the good parts, basically. What I mean?
Yes.
Not that it was bad, but you're looking at your watch a little bit like, dude, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Overall, I would say. And I feel like this about Godzilla versus Kong, like the movie before this one. Like I really did not like it when I saw it the first time, but the second time, if you see it as a popcorn movie, it's fun. I think I'll feel the same way about this.
Yeah.
Where like if we're judging it like by movies that we've seen so many movies together for so many years, this movie it was fun, but like I said, you have to sit through a lot before you actually get to the fun stuff.
Certain movies, when you see them a few times, and you're gonna now. The first time it's like you're trying to take it all in. It's just like all over. It's like just so much to take in, and then they're not letting it breathe, and then so it's like it feels choppy. But so I was just thinking this, for example. Remember Star Wars Episode-1, The Phantom Menace,
yes,
which is coming out I think again in the summer, 25th anniversary. Yeah. When I first saw that. It was entertaining, but the same kind of thing. It's like they're just trying to tie so many things together, and it's like one thing after another. With the original 4, 5, and 6 series, they're trying to tie all these things in it, and it's just so much happening all at once. It's like it's so much to take in, and say, whoa, they're trying to do this, they're trying to do this, they're trying to do this.
Slow down.
Now later, when I know the whole story, now I can watch The Phantom Menace. And now I just, watch it to see what's happening. And that, it's connecting fine in my brain. I think in George Lucas's brain, it was like connecting fine. Maybe with this director's in the brain, it's connecting fine to him because he knows the story. But then at first viewing, it's just too much all over the place. Yeah, like a spaghetti. Yeah, exactly. So let's do scores, shall we?
Yeah. I go, what would you score it out of 10?
Out of 10, I would say it's 7.3. 7.3.
I think you're being generous. Yeah.
Which shows like it is thumbs up. I recommend the movie, especially if you're a Godzilla fan, if you like these kind of, Godzilla movies and crazy comic book action and, big kaiju monsters fighting each other. Like, that's all fun. And it's just like, it could have been better, of course. I just hope it does well. I think, they just went too like crazy with the story. So I'm going to put a 7.3.
Okay. A 7.3. That's
right.
Right. So for me, like, I'm a big fan of IGN's movie reviews in the sense of I don't read them. I just like to scroll down and see what score they gave it. And I agree with their score. Their score was a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Because, like, the monster stuff in the fights and visually, fantastic.
Right.
But the story bits, not that this, how can I explain? It's just like, you don't care.
Right.
Like, I ended up caring more for some of the characters later, but with all the stuff they were going through and showing you, like I said, visually amazing. Even, like I said, even the human stuff, like, that stuff is all cool. But
because it's just showing you that, and that's what I mean. That's what and that's what I mean by how the editing is. Like, they should like take another look at the script. The bringing back Mothra thing they could have really did it made it so much better. So they could have show just like 10 minutes of how the new empire and their whole society works. Show that new freezing monster and the Scar King, whatever. Just take your time a little bit. You don't have to like do all these things, Oh, he gets frostbite, and then he gets frostbite.
They meet the secret tribe that's related to the girl. Rebecca Hall knows how to read this ancient language, and she knows the whole story by looking at the wall. It's just like,
and now we need Mothra to help them to get them together.
So, exactly, like just throw. You're making a stew, and you're just throwing all these things into the pot.
Yes, exactly. It's just so much.
So it's a lot. It's a lot. But for me, like I said, it's going to be a 6.
Like, I think the Mothra reveal, I didn't know Mothra was coming back.
Yeah.
They could have made like the Mothra reveal, like, because Mothra was always important with the old stories too. They could have made that reveal like so amazing and just blow everyone's mind. Nobody knew that Mothra was coming back and going to be a part of this. That would have been really cool if they took their time and then they said, "Oh, let's read this. And what's this? Oh, look what's, oh my gosh!" And then what is it? And then just like cut. And then maybe go, later, like in Egypt, like bring back Mothra. Now we know what they're talking about. Like, make a nice reveal. Yeah. It's just too fast. So it's like, it wasn't even like, wow. It was like, oh, that's cool, but I wish it would have been a more wow, factor. So they could have done that a little better. Yeah.
You're talking about that just final reflections. Like,
I'm just talking about like certain things they could have.
You feel like they could have made more with Mothra. I feel like they could have probably put. Is it
and then shorten
shorten the movie.
Yeah, that's
shorten
the
movie.
Right. Yeah.
Also, like, Godzilla didn't do a lot in this movie. Honestly, like, it was more of King Kong and following him along and his acting, which is, for some reason, like, he's the one that could kind of relate with feelings, and Godzilla is just like this unstoppable force. I mean, he did have an incredibly cool scene. You see when he starts to power up in this, he goes Super Saiyan almost, if we could use Dragon Ball Z terminology, where he goes from blue to pink. Because he consumes
he's
this
evolving,
monster.
Yeah.
Like the cloud that comes out of his eyes, like when he's just like, ooh, like, that was super cool.
That was very cool.
But he's just a big heavy in this movie, Godzilla. That's all he does. Like, and we've seen enough. You more than me. I've seen enough Godzilla movies where he can have some relations or not relations. Like, I don't mean sex, but he can relate some way. He can go ahead and not have feelings, but they can shoot it or make it in a way where he does more than just like as the big heavy.
Right. And remember, he's supposed
And
to
he's
be
badass,
He's
you
supposed
know?
to be the one that like keeps the balance. So it's
Yeah.
like, so that's what they should just focus on that. Like, the balance is going haywire again.
I think in this movie they did agree. They did do that though. Like he's the one that kind of, like you said, keeps the ones in balance. It keeps things
Right,
in
but
balance.
it's just so quick. It's just like boom, boom, boom. It's like let it breathe. It just doesn't breathe as much.
Right. Well, those are. Oh no, were you gonna say?
I
something?
know. I think the last movie they let it breathe a little bit better.
You mean what do you mean by the last movie? Which one?
No, Kong versus Godzilla versus Kong.
Okay.
The one where they fought in Hong Kong, right?
Yes.
With Mechagodzilla. That one, they took their time. It wasn't all over the place. Just not too much story. And there are some ways you could do it, like say Infinity War or Endgame. There's a lot of stuff going on, but they do it really well, right? This one, they just didn't do it as well. It just feels choppy. So that's what I mean by the editing.
Okay.
Like So anyway, 7.3 for me.
Yes.
6.0 for you.
Yeah, just a 6. Yeah, but we just came out of seeing Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It makes me think, like, what is the next one we call World of the Planet? That doesn't make sense. They're gonna have to change the name, or I don't know. I was just thinking about that. But we just came out of seeing Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Today is May 8th. 2024. A lot of times we see these movies the Thursday before they come out. Thankfully, the AMC here and a bunch of theaters in the city do get these movies the day in advance. And
very nice.
Yeah. So Jason, we came out. What was your the first round experience here?
We saw it in theater number 1, the IMAX theater, which is not the 100% true IMAX, but it's a big screen, good sound. We were just looking this up. All these newer Planet of the Apes movies are prequels to the original ones that came out in like the 60s and 70s. First was Rise of the Planet of the Apes, then it was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, then it was War of the Planet of the Apes, which was the last one with Woody Harrelson in 2017. And now we have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which takes place, I don't know, like how many years later?
It's generations later.
Yeah, because they're talking about Caesar and his legacy and like a long time ago. But anyway, my first impression was I was surprised that it was 2.5 hours because I didn't feel it. It was really well done. It was much better than I thought. I was like, oh, another Planet of the Apes movie? Are they really? But no, this was like original. It was good. It almost reminded me, it had flavors of like the story of, it's very different, but the Black Panther, how different people are trying to become like king of the world or king of Wakanda in that movie. But it's this kind of interesting premise. Anyway, what's your thoughts? How are you thinking? I know we enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, I really did. I think the first thing that came to me when we started to watch it was like, this movie looks incredible. In the sense of, each of these Apes movies, I think the technology that's used to make them
better and better.
Oh my God! And like the thing with this one that really stood out to me, and this has been in all the Apes movies pretty much. I wouldn't say all of them because I haven't seen every single one. Everybody is, even the apes, because that's who you spend the most time with. They are so distinct that like no two look alike.
Yeah.
They all look different. Either they have like little freckles on their face, or their hair is different. And I thought that was so cool. And I was just like, really?
Yes.
And I never felt, when they were relating with the human characters, I never felt, it looks weird,
No.
Let's say a movie that was re-released last week was like The Phantom Menace, right? From way back in the day, which is almost like, I think, 20-some-odd years old now. In that movie, you could really see when it's kind of weird when like the humans are talking to the CG characters. And we've come such a long way in so many movies in between now and that. It never felt weird. You felt like you were watching the apes on screen. It was seamless. There
was only like twice where I saw a little jittery, but it was very slight, and that's in the whole movie. This is like, and that's it.
I didn't notice. I sincerely didn't notice.
No, it was in the beginning, like when they were swinging and stuff. Maybe they cut a corner, but it's like really good because obviously it always can't be 100% seamless of everything, but yeah, like.
But the fact that we're still getting there,
we're like
so crazy.
The first one, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, of this new one, this new series that started. It's at 2011 it came out, so it's been a while.
I would even say
that's like 13 years later.
I would even say, and I told you this when we were coming out of the theater. For me, this is a new trilogy that they're starting.
Yeah, maybe
the 3 movies with Caesar, and we're talking full spoilers here. In the very beginning, they show Caesar. He dies, right? That kind of, for me, closes those last 3 movies. where you saw the apes evolve into what they eventually became. They were fantastic, those last 3 movies. And now this movie, even the ending, it lends to like there's going to be more with these characters that were introduced in this one. This is a new trilogy. I can say it now. I haven't seen everything this year. And there's a lot of stuff I'm waiting to, that I was telling you that I wanted to come and see, but I didn't go see. And I just kind of will wait for streaming, because sometimes you think a 3-hour commitment in the theaters as opposed to like I can be home cooking food and just like watching something and kind of multitasking in a way, right? But nothing beats going to the movies. You know, that's why we do so many times.
Yeah, of course. We live for that, right?
I would say Dune 2 and this movie are 2 of the best looking movies. 100%, you know, and December comes around, is going to be on people's best of the year. This and Dune 2.
Oh, yeah. And they're talking about doing another Dune or Dune couple movies, right? Like,
they're gonna do the other Dune, but that's like years
Children
away.
of Dune,
but I'm talking about 2024.
Yeah, 2024.
Like, those 2, 100% are gonna be in the conversation for best of.
For like best of stuff, and then in terms of they'll both be nominated for like best visual effects or something.
And I would even say the few movies that we both seen this year that have been released this year, I would say that this is the best looking movie I've seen this year. And we, you saw Dune, I saw Dune, we saw Godzilla, King Kong, and now, we're seeing this, and this is the best looking movie I've seen this year in terms visually, but emotionally, I felt the emotion in the very beginning when just like the monkeys are kind of talking to each other.
Right.
Yeah, I already felt emotion in the beginning because of the sincerity of them kind of talking to each other. The thing that I found, I'm going to let you go now, I'm going to finish this round with this last bit. I remember seeing C on Apple TV. That's the kind of like the fantasy series with Jason Momoa, and he talked about how they kind of went to blind school, like to go ahead and like learn how to like act blind, basically. With these movies that have come out, like these actors have kind of it's a monkey school. They learn how to become monkeys, but it is just so impressive in terms of like the way they communicate and the way they talk. That was just so impressive because I believe that they're talking monkeys. I was transported to that, But that's enough for me.
When I went to a film program in New York University, and we did all different aspects of filmmaking. Yeah. The first film that we did is go out and make a silent film, because that's pure cinema. Tell the story without any dialogue. Show it visually what you're trying to say, and then this in a way was like that. Like you could really feel everything. But with the visuals, another note, the visuals were so good that the camera could be like slowly coming up to one of the monkeys or the apes, the chimpanzees, and just stop and let them talk and react, and then it's incredible.
And like the eyes, and the mouths and the expressions.
Oh yeah,
it's like technology on top of their human acting. It's incredible. I think I probably said this before in a previous Apes review, but it's really incredible. Yeah. I'm like flabbergasted.
And then wow. My favorite part of the whole movie and the character is Raka, and he's like comic relief, but also the wise old man, and he's great. And
it comes across the screen. This is a person that's CG'd. It's an actor acting, and then they put the CG in the same way we've seen Andy Serkis with Gollum, and Andy Serkis even plays
with Caesar. Yeah,
like it's an actor, and then they put the CG on him. But
it's just getting better and better and better.
And if you're not watching, of course this is an audio thing, but I'm like talking to you, I'm grabbing my face, just to kind of show expressions. Like you were talking about Raka, you can feel that he's wise. I mean, this is also a big shot to the actor as well. But you can feel that he's wise. You can feel the comic relief.
And he's also, you can feel he's showing how to show compassion to others.
And he's not even in the movie.
To Noah, right?
Exactly.
To the other character.
He's not in the movie that much.
Yeah, he's not.
I was hoping that he would just kind of show back up in the end. But unfortunately,
right. Yeah. That would have been a nice little Hollywood ending, right?
Yeah.
At the end, you'd be like, "Yeah, go Noah."
You never know, because I really believe they're gonna. You and I both think they're gonna, of course, make more of these movies because they keep being successful, like you said.
Right.
Before we started recording, it wouldn't surprise me if he pops back in.
He might. 100%. Yeah, because all they did was show him go off in the flooding.
Exactly.
Right? He just cut him off, and then it's possible. I mean, to see him actually die, So that's, it would be cool if he came back. Shoot, I mean, that would be great. He made his own movie, A Rocco movie,
I wouldn't be mad at that.
That would be really interesting.
I was going to say, I think some notes, and you know this better than me because I think you're better versed in the older movies, the 70s, 80s movies than I am. But you totally had like the flavor of those original movies. I know I've seen a few of them where like the monkeys are like chasing the humans and trapping them, and that's what happens in this. I looked at you and I just like started
have them in cages.
Exactly, have them in cages. You don't see the human in the cage, but you definitely see them in horseback, like tying up the humans, catching them. And was Nova the name of any original character from the Charlton Heston movies? I don't know. I think it was.
Right.
And you hear that name, so it's kind of like the movie does some like throwbacks. To the,
for sure.
Even like the finale.
Because you have a lot of fans of that original movie. You know?
The finale, third act, taking place on a beach, which is like super iconic with Charlton Heston and his final scene, like the first one, right? So, I mean, what do you think about that? I look to you because to me, you know more about it.
No, but I haven't seen those originals in a while.
Yeah.
I think I saw the first one like in the theater, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or so when they started coming up the new ones. But then that was a while ago. Like now, this really makes me want to start from the beginning and then see them all. You know, it makes me want to do that. And then hopefully they'll put them out in like Blu-ray, which they sometimes will get. You know, like we were talking about streaming on like Disney Plus, because Disney now owns 20th Century Fox. He could have his own, the Planet of the Apes channel and have all this stuff. And have little, like, 100%. Featurettes and, like, talk about the timeline. And
I think at this point you'll have so much content that it won't be like a bare bones thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it'll have a lot of content in there. You put in all the movies and the TV specials and the makings of it. Put a lot of stuff in there,
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. Really, really interesting.
Final, like we're getting into our final points of like wrapping it up.
And then scores,
and scores, absolutely. The reference for me is like more the Mark Wahlberg movies, but it's like somebody in a suit. But it was still very expressive. Like you can tell like some expression when the monkeys would talk. But to go from people in suits to these last now 4 movies where it's a human with CG on them, and then the technology just keeps getting better and better and more expressive. It really is something. Like I said, I know I keep repeating myself. It's just really impressive. And then, like the fact that we've lived long enough to see this.
It
blows my mind.
Evolving and getting better and better.
It blows my mind.
No, it's going to be interesting to go back and watch, from the beginning, the first one, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and then look at it with today's eyes, 13, 14 years later, and then comparing, and seeing that evolution and seeing how it gotten better and better and better. Because remember the Jungle Book that Disney did?
I didn't see that, but I know the one you're talking about.
John Favreau directed it, and the visuals are incredible in that. and that's like all animated.
It's the CG animals. They look like they're with the actor.
But they're like, and then I think even the actors are CGI. I mean, and the whole world is CGI. They've come a long, long way, man. It's incredible.
It is.
It's just like, if you can think of it, you can make it, basically.
You're saying that, like, as well, the world, I believe the world was like this world that has been abandoned for years with all the growth and the vegetation that was around.
Right.
We look at sometimes these things like Ancient Aliens, or we look at these Discovery Channel, like kind of like specials where it talks about an Earth. I remember this one that it talked about, what if humans disappeared? What would happen to the animals? And they showed an Earth similar to this one, or that you would see in the HBO show of The Last of Us, where Earth is abandoned and vegetation is kind of grown over.
It's grown over, right.
And I really felt in that world. I never felt, this was filmed in Vancouver.
No. It really takes you away from wherever you are seeing this.
Dude,
you're in it. You're like, you forget the time.
I can't believe this is 2.5 hours. I was never bored looking at
when is this going to be over?
No. So engaging.
It's very engaging. This is a great example of sometimes what we complain about with the editing and the pacing. This is perfect, almost perfect in terms of pacing, in terms of starting it off, with the 3 friends or brothers and sisters. I don't know if they're related, but I think maybe a couple of them were related.
No, they all grew up together.
They all grew up together, right?
Because he had an almost romantic relationship with that other friend, the main character, Noah.
Right.
Which was a monkey. We're talking about.
Yes. And then so starting off with them and showing them training and whatnot together, and then going to the village and seeing the father, and as the bird caller and all that, and then getting involved with these other tribes and these crazy wannabe rule of the world. It's almost.
It was great, by the way.
It's almost like it's almost like Mad Max, almost. Really.
Dude, like you say that. In terms of it being Mad Max, it's the hero's journey. Life was good, then life got jacked up, and now I'm kind of on a journey to go and kind of get my life back, and then I'm making friends along the way. And then I change also.
And then you could feel the mistrust between the human Nova, right? And then
Nova
and May, and then Noah, the hero,
But which is great because that plays on the same theme from the very initial movie. Like, we'll work together, but I really don't trust you 100%.
Yeah, how much can I trust you?
Yeah, and then there's moments where, like, okay, you could trust me more, and I can trust you more, but then it always ends, we cannot fully trust each other.
Right.
Even if we
But at the same time, when he gave her the symbol that Raka gave him of Caesar and his philosophy, then it made her think a little more like, oh, okay, maybe we can live together.
But it gave that great shot where she approaches him, and they're in better terms, but she approaches him with a gun.
Oh, right, because she wasn't sure. She wasn't sure. But then both of them survived because of each other, right? If they didn't...
But then what I thought, if we're talking about some cons now, one con was that I thought he should have been angrier at her because of what she did. Well, she had her own reasons. I wasn't saying that she's wrong. But because of what she did, some of his clan died. Right. They got washed away and when the dam broke. Some of them got killed.
Then some of her, some humans were killed as well because, these crazy wannabe king apes and their, posse would just come and just mess with all the humans and
round them up.
And just fuck with them. And then, it was like, damn, this is like crazy. Almost like feeling of hopelessness.
100%.
Well, I almost had that feeling of not as deep. What was that one that Mel Gibson directed with the not the Incas, but
Apocalypto.
Apocalypto.
I saw actually a few years ago.
That was a great movie. That movie, like almost more than any other movie I've ever felt, like you feel like complete hopelessness. Like,
this person can't win.
There's just no hope whatsoever. And then, this is definitely not on that level because that was brutal.
But there are moments.
But there are definitely
moments. There are moments where you're like, how can you win?
Right.
And then you see the king and
and then you see his own posse, the chimpanzee, bird call clan are like have already given in.
They submitted. They're like, okay, whatever you want. If anything, his own mother betrays him in the end.
Yeah, I know.
In a way, which is great, by the way.
But then the ending was great where, he's the one that stood up and he started, doing what his father was doing. And then he gathered them all together and then he called the birds and, it was a great ending. Awesome.
I also wanted to say, this movie does not have a lot of A-list actors. If anything, it has no A-list actors in it. I was telling you when the movie finished, I thought because of that the actors that were in there worked even harder. Because
they're trying to
incredible.
They're trying to prove themselves and make a name for themselves, and they did excellent. Yeah, because you don't want an actor that will just like, I'm a name. I'm just gonna walk through this walk in the park. Yeah, just gonna phone it in. No, they were amazing. They were great.
Shout outs I wanted to give to, of course, the guy who plays Proximus. An actor we've seen in so many movies. He played the Juggernaut in one of the X-Men movies.
He was very well. He
was great. He was no, not the Juggernaut. I'm sorry. He played the Blob. One of the Wolverine movies. And if you see the actor, you'll know who I'm talking about. He was great, but his second in command was fantastic. I really
the big gorilla guy.
Oh
right?
my God,
he was
so good.
It was great.
I always felt his menacing presence. What just amazed me, like I said, the look, the teeth, the nose. You really felt this. Holy fuck! This is
So some of the crazy paw names that were they almost look like some of the apes in the Godzilla Kong movie that came out recently, right? The crazy ones,
Oh yeah. And the main one.
They're like gray but bald. And like crazy.
But they all looked different and they felt different.
No, they know.
Because he had the Proximus, he had the big one, the second, the heavy, but then he had the other, the Scratcher.
Right, the Scratcher.
Always like a jerk,
Right.
Yeah, but they all look different and you can tell them apart.
Well, one other thing, one last thing I was thinking of, it kind of shows you how he, the Proximus, how he could seduce people. Let's, follow me, and because it's our world now. And
the way he was talking, any good villain, right? And you know what I'm talking about when I say this. That any good villain isn't ever completely right.
Correct.
Like he always has some points where, like, dude, you're a fucking
right.
You know
I mean, if not, he wouldn't have anyone on his side. Right?
Exactly. And he was 100% agree. He was so convincing when he would just talk to you, and he also was very menacing. You felt there was that one scene when they were like at a table eating. And you felt when he like kind of was leaning over and talking, you felt this guy's dangerous. This ape is dangerous.
Sure. And then one thing I'm thinking, maybe you can tell me what your thoughts are. I was thinking, how could they do this plan together and go into the vault? The big bank vault thing that they couldn't open, and plan this all out without any of the guard apes seeing this.
100%.
But I'm thinking, okay, but then I'm thinking, well, maybe they let him do it on purpose so they could
open it up.
But then they would have seen the explosives being built, and they wouldn't have let them do. But maybe they didn't know what that is, right? They didn't know what the explosives were.
No, but I agree with you. But even if they don't know what explosives are, you always going to ask, like, what are they doing?
Yeah. Like, let's not do their full plan altogether. But they wanted them to open it. They had to let them just play along.
But you would.
But then you don't know, because it might have been those other apes that were like, okay, they're going to open up, so let's get ready.
To your point, like, at what point did the mom ape go ahead and tell them? Do you think it was when they were planting the bombs? I don't. After they were gone,
okay.
And then. But that's a good point. Like cons, I would say, like there were some times when the apes were talking, I did not understand what they were saying. There was the ones. Then once again, that scene at the table when they were talking to May, and I understood it. Okay, you had a map. So was it the map that led them to his clan? Like I didn't understand.
Yeah, they didn't fully
stress
that.
So this is a movie where I think, when I see movies, I don't actually prefer to see them, and I've told this to you before, in subtitles, because I want to know what they're saying.
So
it'll help with the story.
Which is good to see it again, on streaming, and you put on the subtitles or Blu-ray, or whatever, so you could do that, because you could get every single word that you might miss. Another thing that made me think, if the aliens come down, then all humans would unite, because we'll all be having a common enemy and try to fight. But then there's some people saying, well, you don't know, because there might be one or two humans that are like going to make friends with the alien
100%.
and be like, oh, I'll let you exploit my humans if you let me, live like a king in your alien world, just like William H. Macy character, which is...
Dude, you're exactly right, because not to get super serious here, but that's what happened with the Nazis, right?
Yeah.
Like there were Jews that were like, no,
so I think
I'll be sympathizing, because just please, like, I'll do anything. Just like I want to survive.
Right. Don't kill me, and I'll help you. Right.
Exactly. So no, 100% there would be human sympathizers. It's like what they call with like vampires, Dracula, like his familiars.
Right.
Like the people that he uses to get them food.
Right.
Keep you alive. I promise you.
And like the Star Wars stuff, right? Like they'll have people who are like spies. Like we'll pay you money, we'll let you live peacefully, but if anything's going on with the rebels, tell us, and then we'll hook you up. And
I got you.
Right.
But those are always the first ones that they kill. That's the thing. Anytime you're the sympathizer, he's like, oh, please, okay. That's the first one that always gets killed.
You weak motherfucker. Anyway, scores.
Yes. Oh, what's your score, Jason?
I would say an 8.3. 8.3.
Okay.
It's a very good movie, a solid movie. There's not a lot of flaws in it. It was overall really good. It was really, really good. Yeah. The only reason why maybe it wouldn't be higher than that. Like, why is it not a 9 or 10? Because, it's not amazing.
Oh, yes.
But it is very good, yeah.
Yeah. For me, this movie was amazing. Like I said, I was transported from the very beginning. We mentioned the issues that we had with it in terms of not fully understanding everything, and maybe like some little common sense things, which I wasn't even thinking about that point, but I'm going to take that point as part of my cons. What you were saying, how is it that they set all this up and like nobody was after them or looking at them, especially when
they're like prisoners, right?
They're prisoners, but also Proximus made it seem like Noah, who was like the main ape, and May were very important. So why wouldn't you be watching?
And he wanted Noah to like come on his side.
Exactly. Right? If they're so valuable, why don't you have a guard following them around?
Sure, absolutely.
But a 9 in the sense of presentation, emotion. The movie as an adventure as a whole was just so satisfying. And in terms of the premise, how it played out, and then the ending and how it ended, it leads you to think there's going to be a sequel. And
Oh,
as we
for
were
sure,
saying,
for
this
sure.
is a new trilogy.
It's a good ending.
Yeah.
Very good ending.
I was very satisfied, and this was a great night out at the movies. For a 2.5-hour movie, did not feel it.
Absolutely.
Totally in there.
It was
You know?
totally great night. The movies.
So it's a 9 for me. There was even a lady behind us.
Oh, 9.
She was really into it. She was clapping. She was like, oh, this.
Yeah, she was saying like little comments here and there.
Exactly. So she was really into it. You could tell, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
This is a 9 for me. Yeah,
Oh,
this
nice.
is
Very good.
Yeah.
Would you say this is the best of all the best Planet of the Apes movie you've ever seen in terms of like comparing it to the others?
Is it that first one, the one where Caesar actually talks for the first time? That one was so good.
Yeah,
that one was so good. I would say that the one with Woody Harrelson, that had a little bit of weakness in it. That wasn't perfect, but it wasn't bad. That wasn't perfect, but those two ape movies, they're always like a little bit of a journey movie.
Right.
So I liked those two. The last one was good. It wasn't like crazy. It was very good. But this one is incredible.
Which was why I was worried, because really good, and then it was starting to go down. You know, like it was still very good.
Yeah, like the Woody Harrelson.
The Woody Harrelson one.
It started to go down a little bit.
But it was still good. But then I was thinking, oh, are we going to continue to go that route? But then I saw the score. I'm like, you know, it was what, 83 or something.
It wouldn't surprise me. Like,
and I'm thinking of going up. It might go 100%. Up more. And then I was like,
I think audiences are going to love this.
But so I was like, well, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. It's going to be great visually, whatever. But let's see how it is. But yeah, way better than I expected.
Which I love. Which is always
great.
A nice surprise.
Which is always great. Yes, so like to be surprised.
Oh, 100%. We want to give a shout out to our good friend Sam Sampson. He passed away this month. As somebody we worked with for a long time.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace.
He was our trainer for room inspector and in the New York Hilton Midtown.
And just kind. He was always very nice to us, which he didn't have to be.
Yeah. He always gave us a nice philosophy of life. Yes. He was always kind to us. Yeah, may he rest in peace. And
we dedicate this one to him. 100%.
We dedicate this one to Sam Sampson. Yes.
And also, as well, always a big shout out to AMC at 42nd Street. We have recorded this, and we're using their power. We're like literally jacked up into the wall. And they've never come and said, like, oh, you got to get out of here or anything like that. So let's give a big shout out to the AMC in Times Square for kicking us out.
Always being good to us. Letting us do our thing. All right, my brother.
Any final words?
Always a pleasure. No, I say any final words. Summer is coming. Let's go have some fun at the movies this summer. There's a lot of good stuff coming out.
100%. And for me, this is the movie that actually kicks off the
I
summer.
think this will be a kickoff, right?
Yeah.
This is the first
summer
big
2024
popcorn movie. 2.5 hours. Fun, entertaining, gangbusters. I almost want to go and see this again over the weekend with a full, sold-out audience.
Yeah.
Because they would be like pumped up. At the end, I'm sure they would be like cheering, pumping their
fists. Like that lady was.
Yeah.
And if that lady's any indication, I think audiences are going to feel the same way.
They're going to feel the same.
And also our theater was, I would say half, even more than half full.
Yeah, so you turn around and like checking it out, right? I did the same.
To me, that gauges like interest.
Yeah.
If it's like not a lot of people, then it tells me like the box office is not going to be great. For this one, I think the box office is going to be good. Like,
it is.
Last week, the Fall Guy came out.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so. Last week, the Fall Guy came out, and that totally did not do super well. The reviews were good for it, but it didn't. You know what I mean? So this is hopefully the official start for the summer, and there's a lot more to come.
Yeah.
Another week, another movie. We are back at the AMC Times Square, and I am here once again with Jason G. Jason, we just came out of seeing Furiosa. For me, Chris Hemsworth, he kind of steals the movie. I thought Anya Taylor-Joy, she was good, but with her, there was a child actress that was almost like in the first half of the movie, and it just surprised me how much she looked like Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yes.
Like in the face. I was amazed by that. But she was good too.
But there were actresses before. There was the really young one, and then there was the in between, and then there was her.
Was there an in between? Because I thought it was just the young one and then her. That's interesting.
We have to check again. I could be wrong. Yeah, officially, it's Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Okay.
There we go. But yeah, was it like incredible, spectacular? I thought the first Mad Max Fury Road, I enjoyed that more. And I think it's more because there were some slow bits in this, but the highlight of the movie, like I said, was Chris Hemsworth. George Miller and these characters which make you laugh, and they're funny, and they're evil, and they're like a lot of this fun to watch. And the world, this George Miller particular style where we can be moving in regular motion and he like speeds things up super fast sometimes.
Right.
And it's like kind of frantic, it's kind of manic. It gets really exciting, and then it could be very chill. And this is a feeling that I get from watching movies from the 80s, like Time Bandits or something like that. Like weird British, almost like kind of characters. And we just do not see that kind of thing. Or unless we do see it, but I'm not paying attention to it nowadays. But those are my initial thoughts. Jason, what did you think?
Yeah. This was quite a trip. I think this is George Miller's specialty. Remember the last movie he did? It was okay, but it wasn't. Remember the one with? It
was Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, that's it.
And then Idris Elba.
Yeah,
he was like a genie.
It was like a Aladdin genie style, and that was okay, but it really wasn't all there. It was like really not complete for me. Like I don't know, it wasn't as good as I had hoped because the trailer made it look really good. And it wasn't as good. But anyway, he's trying different things, so we'll give him that. But this is a special. This kind of action, this kind of the scope of it, him world building. They show in the beginning, and it's shown before in previous ones that this is Australia. I mean, that's where he's from, and then that's where the first Mad Max. I think that's where all of them take place. It shows a world that's completely a wasteland, right?
But the characters
they don't really. But the characters are incredible,
yeah.
And then this, just like we talked about the last movie, like this movie really just takes you away, man. Like I was totally into it, and it draws you in. It's an epic story. I mean, story-wise, it could have been a 10 of a movie if it was like even more. I don't know, like the beginning was better than the first half. I think was better than the second half.
Interesting.
I think the action was. Anytime there was a big set piece,
car chase
were incredible. Like that,
as like in the first.
As
one.
as in Fury Road.
Chase scenes were incredible. Yeah.
Incredible, yeah. But overall, a fantastic movie. I thought that I wasn't thinking. I was like, could he make it as up, almost as good as Fury Road? Well, yeah, he does. I mean, and Chris Hemsworth, like you said, he is great. I was telling you during the movie, I said, they gave him a Brody. Adrian Brody has this big nose.
Oh my
and
God.
Then
I didn't understand.
And then in this thing, what was that movie? Like George Clooney and them. What is it called? Where they take money from Las Vegas?
11,
yeah.
Ocean's
so
12.
Ocean's, I think, 2 or 3.
13,
yeah. They say, give him the Brody, and then they disguise him with the big nose, and it was just like so funny.
I'm telling you, when you see him initially you get used to it as the movie progresses.
Yes, you do.
But it looks really ridiculous, and not ridiculous in a bad way, ridiculous in a fun way.
But it looks really good. The prosthetic looks. It makes it look real. Like it's completely realistic.
And he I guess for me, he steals the movie. He's
yeah.
We're talking about Chris Hemsworth. Yeah.
Talking about Chris Hemsworth. Obviously, this is showing these warlords fighting each other, and he's up to that par as
Immortan Joe.
As Immortan Joe, right? Like if given the chance, he could have taken the Citadel, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And you're initially presented with him, you think, like, this is what I thought. Like, that, once he meets Immortan Joe's going to mop the floor with this guy. But this guy had what he basically would do is find people on the road and basically force them to work for him, kind of thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's not like they had a lot of other options. And then he had amassed it, and he shows it several times in the movie where his motorcycle gang is humongous. I even think he outnumbers anything happening at the Citadel by itself. You know what I'm saying? But just like the war boys are so suicidal, they don't care. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and then Chris Hemsworth gang are not that insane, right?
Exactly.
Where
they're like,
they'll
follow you to a point, kind of thing.
We're going to sacrifice us, like kamikaze style.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. And the best thing about this movie, the best things are definitely the look of the movie, the action, the car chase scenes. But for me, the number one are the characters.
The characters are incredible.
The fact that we got a second movie where we would still hang it out with some of the characters from the first movie.
First one, yeah.
And then introduce you to new ones in this one that you kind of become endeared to the villains because they're so fun.
Yes.
That's what this movie does. Now, it's great that you said, like, the first half was stronger than the second half. I do feel that. Like, I think...
And story-wise, action-wise, it's great all around.
Yes. I felt the kind of dip when Anya Taylor-Joy's character, Furiosa, when she got brought to the Citadel, and after she kind of saw the wives, or the women.
Right.
That's when, for me, it kind of took a little bit of a dip, and then it kind of just stayed in that level, not in the initial level that it kind of started off with. So that is a good point. I didn't see it that way, and I thought the end was good. It leads you right. If we're talking spoilers, it leads you right into the second movie with footage from the second movie, and that's how it ends.
Fury Road.
Yeah. We were talking, if there were to be a third Mad Max movie, These two pretty much wrap up everything. But if there was to be another Mad Max movie, I want Mad Max.
Yeah.
It's cool if Furiosa can like make a cameo or be in it, but I don't. Another Furiosa movie will be okay, but I prefer another Mad Max movie, where it seems like this is the part that I didn't understand. It seems that Mad Max, they show the character at a point, not by the face, but like by his car. We were like, oh, that's
yes, in this movie, right?
In this movie, but then she ends up back in the Citadel. But then it makes me think like, how is it that Mad Max ended up in the Citadel in the second movie, which I'm not remembering right now? So like, why would he take her to the Citadel and not like stay there? I don't know. That was a little confusing to me. I'm sure there's an answer for that. Jason,
yeah, I think in Fury Road, where he's captured and then they take him in.
But captured from when? That's what I'm saying.
They
like, why didn't they just grab him?
Because he's like, because they're just trying to conquer everything. So you're not part of us, so we're gonna just capture you. Okay. If I remember correctly.
Yeah. Okay.
But we'll have to watch it again to get the actual.
Yeah, like to find out exactly
details.
what happened there. Yeah. Do you have any more thoughts before we jump to the score?
Yeah, George Miller created a new Mad Max world with the one previous to this, Fury Road,
which was incredible.
Right, because that was in many ways different from the previous Mad Maxes, right? Because you had Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, Mad Max 3, Beyond Thunderdome. And then there was 30 years or so, 30 plus years with nothing. And then came Fury Road, not too long ago, right? And that was an insane production, I heard. This one, I think, was much faster, right, to make because...
compared to, even though it seems like that one came out, which it did, it came out I think 5 or 6 years ago. But
if you hear the story of how hard it was, he filmed almost 90% of it and then just scrapped it and then he started again or something.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It's an incredible story.
The only thing I remember from the first one is
the making of the last one. There's this
that Charlize Theron and this guy. Oh my God, I'm forgetting his name. Bane from The Dark Knight. I'm forgetting his name.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
They were beefing and they hated to work with each other. That's like the thing that you hear all the time about the first production.
There was a YouTube channel that shows the making of movies, and it was called So and So Was a Shit Show. It was the making of Mad Max Fury Road was a shit show. And then this is a channel that makes these documentaries that are, I don't know, between 20 minutes or 50 minutes or something.
Wow.
And then one of them was Mad Max Fury Road, and if you watch that, it is incredible how much time and how much persistence it took to make that one. But this one didn't come. First, he did that Genie one with Idris Elba.
1,000-Year Door.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think, and then this one, I think he made 2 movies back to back after that, and this is almost on par with Fury Road in terms of the scope, in terms of going on the desert. This, I think, had a little more CGI than the previous one.
It did.
But it worked pretty well.
Yeah, it was good. It wasn't something outrageous or something offensive.
No, it worked very well. He has a great way of letting CGI assist his vision, but not take over. Where it's it's too much, just nonstop 100% CGI. Within some movies it worked. Obviously, you have to do that for the Godzilla movies, Godzilla Kong movies.
Of course,
because
that's all it is.
Yeah, that's all it is. But this movie is great for what it is. I had a great time. It was a lot of fun.
This world, I want to go to this world again. This motorcycle desert, scavenging, wasteland world. The way that George Miller does it, it's just fantastic. It's like every man is out for themselves, but then there's some loyalty, and then you have the peons who are always looking up to the big boss. I want to revisit this world. I really enjoy this, and the look of it and the feel of it. It's fantastic.
And then all these little gangs. Who are they? Oh, they turn rogue, and then they're just crazy,
they're
right? They're flying up in the air. And
if we're talking gangs, I counted 4. So I counted
Chris Hemsworth gang.
Okay, Chris Hemsworth.
The Citadel gang.
The Citadel gang, and then so those the ones that went rogue. Because that was the head,
where they were flying out, right.
Yeah, because that was led by the guy with the horns. Who, when he was doing all that, you didn't see his face. And then the 4th gang were the scavenger people that were just kept around looking.
Right.
And they were on the hills and.
Weren't they in the beginning? Oh yeah, the sand people. Weren't they in the previous one?
They were. They were.
When they were jumping up the monster.
Yeah. So the sand people were the 4th gang, and they'll go and beat you up and steal your stuff, kind of thing, So we saw that. You saw this, right?
Exactly.
If you're listening to this, you're not seeing it. So just think in cartoons like a cloud, and then just a bunch of punches.
Exactly.
That's what the sand people
Pigpen cloud.
Exactly. It was this was a lot of fun, but I think you nailed it when you said the first half was stronger, the second half was good. It was very good. It just, I don't know, like it lost a little bit. And Anya Taylor-Joy was great. Like, she makes great faces.
Yes, yeah.
But, I mean, could it have been another, like, young actress with good faces?
Yeah, it could have.
Yeah, because so if she brought something specific to it, I mean...
No, she's just bringing her name with it.
Exactly.
I think,
and she has great faces. Yeah,
and she's great.
She's a beautiful girl.
Beautiful girl, great face expressions. Obviously, she had to be physical for this role.
Yeah, and very stoic. You had to be very stoic. But then I think a lot of other actresses can fill the part, too.
Yes, yeah. They're just using her fame and name to bring people in. You know, they're like, hey, would you like to do this? You'll play young Furiosa. Oh, sure. Who wouldn't want to do that? Exactly. So then, you know, it works out, you know.
Chris Hemsworth, like if you're talking about like all the movies you've seen him in, where a lot of times his more successful ones was just really the MCU ones. Every other movie he made kind of outside of it wasn't super successful in the sense critically or like financially.
Yeah.
Not every single one. I mean, they made money, but not like crazy. But this one, he's really great in this one. And I love that he's like the villain in this one. He's not like the hero kind of character.
Yes. He's like...
For me, like I said, he was great. He had a lot of dialogue. Of course, Anya Taylor-Joy is just very quiet throughout the movie. She's very physical and everything, but he had a ton of dialogue, and you really felt his presence. You felt that this guy is dangerous. You felt that he was ridiculous, because how many times he came on screen and I laughed, you know what I mean?
Right.
He just was ridiculous. He was a lot of fun.
I'm glad they made him, very, very aggressive and very crazy and mean, but like not so over the top, because what they're doing, the only thing that dark about this movie is the way people treat each other. Like, this is like a crazy world.
It's
like,
called a wasteland.
Yeah, exactly. It's wasteland.
You're scavenging for anything.
But I'm glad there's a lot of humor. I'm glad there's quirky characters to make it fun. Because otherwise, if you make it like so dark, it would really... I think I would leave the theater and not want to see it again, because it's just like, ugh. You remember that movie, The Road? That was a dark movie.
That was a dark movie. That was a dark movie. Viggo
It was very good, but like I don't know how many times I can watch it. Yeah, it's very sad.
But this was fun.
Yeah, exactly. This is way more fun.
And then some of the character names are great, like the Organic Mechanic.
Very fantastic.
And, like Rictus Erectus and all these other names.
I love the how they brought back like the original, family of the Citadels, like the lead guy, the guy with the
actors,
all the original actors. Right?
I mean, I'd have to see the first one again, but I do know that the big one, Rictus Erectus, he was in the first one. The same actor, it seems like, who played Immortan Joe. Also, the guy with the nose, who was like the advisor, was like rubbing his nipples.
Yes. No, he's great. That's such a great character.
And also the guy with the bullet helmet. He was the one that went into the desert with like the thing, like when he tried to get them.
Right.
Movie. So
and then the two sons, right? The two sons.
I don't remember that first son. That's the character I didn't like remember too well. The big one.
He's totally in the first one.
Yeah.
The second one I don't remember as much, with the the longer hair, but it's like receding.
Yeah, had like this goofy face.
What is it?
Always
teeth is up.
He always had this face.
Come on, Dad. Let me go get him. Let me bring the whole... Let's go to Gastown and get him.
But he was great. If we're scoring this, I thought this was like a 7.5. Really good. But he's kind of lost a little bit of steam.
Yeah.
But another movie where, the last two, I said this, and I have to say this for this one, like visually, this movie's incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah, like they showed footage from the last one, and this one looks so much sharper.
Yeah.
And like the colors of the sand, and like it pops, and you see so much of the same color. But like I said, it's the way he shoots it, and like you said, there's CG in there, and there's also the action and the chase scenes. Like, I want more.
Yeah.
But this is a 7.5. I do feel Fury Road was better because this feels more complete and more like satisfying. This was very good, but it takes a lot of turns to kind of get to the. It takes a lot of turns, but it's to fill out Furiosa's story, But and then another question is like, do I care that much about her story, or is it more I just want to be in this world?
Right.
But
No. I think. See, here's what I think. Like, I think the beginning part where they show Furiosa really young, and then that beginning was amazing. Like, you see these guys on the bike, and then she messes with their bikes, and then they kidnap her, and then the one, I don't know if is that her real mother or just like an aunt or a dead mother.
That was her mother.
Yeah.
I mean, in the movie.
So that whole first story, and how she got like, the mother said, go, don't worry about me, but then she comes back, to try like.
And basically changes the course of her life.
Yeah, and changes the course of her life. Yeah,
she changes.
Absolutely.
Like how her life story happens.
Right now we know from Fury Road, she eventually gets to that, back to her hometown. You know. That paradise kind of place, right?
Does she?
Yeah, that's.
No, does it end like with her at the Citadel?
Remember but they do eventually get to where, you know, all of her mentors, you know, the female area that's
I think they
paradise.
They get to the females, but like I don't think it's there anymore. I think that's the way, because it ends with them back at the Citadel. And then, like,
but then they go back and then they take over, right? Her and Max.
But Mad Max bounces, because that's how it ends. Like he looks up at her.
Oh, okay, that's right.
No, but I think he only finds some of the people maybe that used to live there, but then they were like, no, it's gone, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we have to rewatch.
You have to rewatch this. But like that first, right? We don't know what to expect, and how she got kidnapped. That was like thrilling as hell. Like that beginning was really good.
Action packed.
Action packed, and like.
And the characters.
And then
even those characters.
You know, because it's like Serene Furiosa, like she is like a fucking survivor, man. And then the mother too.
Her mother taught her like
they're
to defend
badass,
herself.
man.
Exactly. Like, you don't cross them.
Yeah, you don't cross them. That was thrilling. Like you know them, because that gang is also very badass. So the two of them, you know,
and they were memorable.
Fighting each other, like you know, like that was thrilling. Like who's gonna edge out the other? You know, obviously. It doesn't work out so well for Furiosa's character and mother,
changes the course of her life.
Changes the course of her life, but it's an amazing beginning. You know, I like I said, that's why like the first half is better than the second half. If they had done, I think, an equally as great second half, then it could have been on the same par as Fury Road. But anyway, that's just a little. It was all great though. It was all great, and I love like when the part when. Part of the first half too is when Chris Hemsworth and his gang thinks he's going to easily take over the Citadel, and it doesn't happen that way. That was a great part, because like you guys don't know what you're messing with. These guys are like unfreaking.
Like he came in swinging his dick around, and then once
exactly.
They came, and it wasn't even like they were outnumbered. It seemed it didn't seem like they were outnumbered, but they knew they were dealing with these suicidal people.
Yeah,
they're like, we gotta get out of here. You know what I mean? Yeah, they don't give a fuck. Yeah.
They're just all gonna like come down.
We're just a bunch of scavengers. Like these folks are committed. You know?
Yeah, really committed.
Yeah.
So then they're like, okay, let's get out of here. So but then they have their plan, and then you know they take over. That was all. I think it was up until then. Up until the first half, the like almost perfect first half was up until what's his name? Immortal Joe? No. Immortan Joe gives the gas. What is it called? Gas area? The gas
town.
Gas town to Chris Hemsworth and his gang, and then that's where I think the second act begins, right? What do you think? What do you think?
No, for me, like I said, it was when I think it's just like we're arguing by like a few minutes here and there, because for me it was almost the same time. It was like when the young girl was introduced to the other girls.
Right. Okay, so that's around the same time, because he takes her. He's like, yeah, you could have this. You can you could take over Gastown, and we'll send you food, but you got to give me this, and then I'll take what's his name. I'm going to take your guy.
The organic mechanic.
And the girl, because obviously, because Immortal Joe has this like fascination with like all these wives and making perfect human beings.
And there's one example in the movie when one gives birth, and it's like this is jacked up mutant baby.
And they're like, okay, that's your last chance. No, I can do it, I promise. And then like, no, crazy stuff.
He wasn't in it a lot. He was in it very little. But I think I could have sworn you told me that the actor who plays Immortan Joe was the actor from the first
very first one. Yes, it was.
And
so that's cool.
I think it's the same guy. I mean, it looked like from the eyes you could kind of see a little bit.
No, he has great casting. Great casting. And then there was a new. I want to see a spin-off movie or series of that little guy.
The little war boy.
Yeah, that was.
He ended up getting 86.
Yeah, but he was a great.
He was good.
A great addition.
So what would you say?
I would say my score is 8.4.
Oh, do you like
8.4?
Yeah, 8.4. I liked it as well. You know, 8.4 is a very high score.
I forgot what I gave Fury Road, but we have to go back to that and see what I gave that.
I think I have to send it to you.
That must have been like 9 or something. I don't know.
Did we do that? I think we did.
I'm not sure. We must have. Because that was a big release when it came out. When did that come out? 2019? That was before.
We have to Google. You have your phone on
you? We have to Google.
We sincerely, like, I don't know.
It had to be before the pandemic.
No, it was way before the pandemic.
Yeah.
I would even say 2018, 2017. It was a while ago.
Yeah. I think you're right.
We're now looking up when this original came out.
Fury Road. I saw it like 3 or 4 times in the theater, that movie, because it was, because I knew it had to be seen on the big screen. Like I have it on Blu-ray, and then I have it on with the Blu-ray where it's like they have the monochrome version was like the black and white version of it, and that's also very good.
And you say that, and in the trailer for this one, there's a scene when Furiosa's picking the apple in the very beginning, and that's in black and white in the trailer.
Right. Okay.
And the apple or the peach, I think it's a peach. It's in color, you know what I mean?
It's
so
in
it wouldn't
color,
surprise me if they release this movie in black
also
and white.
in black and white, yeah. Let's see. What does it say? Does it say? It says Fury Road. It says it's 2 hours long. So this movie. So today's an extra half hour. Wasn't it like 2:27 or something?
I mean, when was it released here?
Yeah, I don't know. Let me go to Internet Movie Database.
Oh, just Google it, dude. It'll come up if you just Google it.
Well, yeah, but it's the same thing. Fury Road, 2015.
Wow.
2015.
Almost 10 years ago. Jesus Christ.
2015.
It didn't even feel like that,
In a post-apocalyptic wasteland, a woman rebels against the tyrannical ruler in search for her homeland with the aid of a group of female prisoners, a psychotic worshiper, and a drifter named Max.
There was a theory where in one of the Mad Max movies, he picks up he befriends a kid, and then that's supposedly the Mad Max. That's Tom Hardy. Not actually like the Mel Gibson one, because of the time difference.
Yes.
Into the years, but we're gonna wrap this up because we can.
Yes, we keep going on, and you can edit this out. Yes.
Yeah, and we're gonna see more, Lord willing. This is the beginning of the summer, right? This is the Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend. It's Fleet Week.
They do say it's Fleet Week. They do say in the beginning of May is when the summer movie season starts, and I guess we started that with Planet of the Apes.
Right. That's true.
Which was the last one. Well, we're recording it in the same.
Well, a few years ago, it was like end of April for whatever. The Fast and the Furious movie came out. That was like April 21st. Now this is the beginning of summer, even earlier.
It's still spring. That's spring. You know what I mean? This time we have Mark back because he hasn't been with us for a movie for a minute.
Welcome back, Mark.
Jason is here. Paul is here, your favorite, and we just came out of seeing Bad Boys Ride or Die, 2024, and let's go around a few times and give our thoughts. Mark, since you haven't been on the podcast for a while, you go first, baby. You are the guest of honor.
Very good. Listen, I didn't know what to expect. I expected a lot of comedy, as always, with these two individuals. But right out the gate, a lot of action. I love the camera angles, the different angles. A lot of Call of Duty type of action going on in there. Especially, do you do spoilers there?
Yeah.
Yes, totally.
Spoilers.
I was going to say that one scene with Reggie in the house, 15 dudes, badass. Just a simple command, like, do what you got to do. I thought the plot would have been a little, like, been there, done that, like, oh, they're framing us, we got to clear our names. So I was kind of skeptical to see how that was going to play out, but I think the way that this movie flowed, the action, the comedy, it was fun, it was lighthearted. A lot of applause in that theater. A lot of applause.
Yeah, very good.
I forgot how good Armando looked, so I'm very happy they brought him back. Mm-hmm. I thought there was a moment that way in the beginning when they had that, Marcus having the heart attack in the reception. I thought that was just going to be an unrelated event, but I see how they kept tying it into this like euphoric. I died and I've come back and I have these revelations and visions, and it's like, okay, well, and he's spitting it with the comedy all throughout, but all in all, just it was a good movie for me. I liked it. A nice way to roll off the summer for sure.
I love it. Yeah. I love that. Jay, what did you think, brother?
Yeah.
Jason is back.
It was Jay.
That's it.
Yes, as I was saying before, these movies are a lot of fun. They're definitely made for people with short attention spans, because you have just nonstop something going on. You have no scene, longer than 30 seconds, and even 30 seconds. You have like every 3 seconds. It's a cut. But it is very entertaining. It's very good. A lot of fun. Has a lot of heart to it. A lot of good comedy. Yeah, that was really cool with the Marine. Is that the son-in-law?
He's been in like every movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I love that. I'm sorry.
So yeah. So I wish they would have like have him had a little more dialogue before he did his Marine stuff, killing everybody in that one scene. Because like in the beginning, he was just sitting in the living room and was like, hey, why don't you go get a job? He said, well, hey, I'm a Marine. You know, he's like, well, they should have had just a couple more lines of him like showing his character. But anyway, he had a great ending too. Like at the barbecue, right? That was a fun epilogue. Is it called epilogue? Yeah, epilogue. Yeah, it was good action, a lot of fun. I think it'll do well. It's a pretty big budget movie, 100 million, but they all nowadays are like 80, 90, 100. I think the last one cost like 80 or 90. I was just looking up, and then it made like a 400 million around the world, so it made its money back. The directors, are very talented guys. They did that show Miss Marvel, which I thought was actually pretty good. Like, it did fizzle off towards the end, but like the first half was really good. I had a lot of fun with that. Unfortunately, they had that one show, Batgirl, I think, was like dissolved.
The movie,
yeah.
They
just like wrote that off because they wanted to save money or something, which sucks. But I'm happy for them that they did these last two Bad Boys movie, and yeah, they're very talented. Like you said, they have great direction. And they also did the Scalped. They had this. Remember that comic book Scalped by Jason Aaron? I just read it. They shot a pilot and it wasn't even aired. Maybe that's another DC that was canceled. But anyway,
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just read that right now.
I love that. I love that you have these extra tracks.
I just read that. And Scalped is a great.
I do. Sincerely, I do.
I don't know if you ever read that, but it's a great graphic novel comic book.
This is a DC character.
Yeah, DC. Well, it's a DC story, Or Vertigo. It would maybe Vertigo.
And is it related to the Bat family?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
But continue. I'm sorry, Jason.
Anyway, a lot of fun. What did you think about it, Paul? Welcome back.
Exactly. Welcome back to my own podcast.
Even though you're always here.
Exactly. I left the light on this time. For me, it was okay and kind of by the numbers until it got to the helicopter crash scene. I just thought the action there was so good. That's the point when I started to kind of lean in some, right? And just kind of reflecting off of your points. Okay, this my initial impressions. Yeah, I started to lean in on that this one particular action scene where they were Will Smith's son Armando, who was in the third movie, which is another thing that this series, which I actually can see continuing. It has a very fast and furious, bringing back all the old actors, and the audience being invested. Like Mark said, there were 4 separate times when people were clapping in the movie theater, and I found myself kind of getting joyous, watching the movie. There were a couple of occasions where I even got knotted up, and it's so funny what Jason said. And it's things that happen in 30-second. The whole movie's not like that, but there are some beats that happen in 30-second intervals almost, or a minute interval that just instantly. But it's because they've kind of we trust them with the characters that were already there, and they were tie-ins with family stuff, and that's the stuff that kind of got me emotional a couple of times. But this was already established with characters that you'd seen in previous movies,
right.
Like Joe Pantoliano. I think I'm saying is he's the police chief that he's been in every movie. He was even dead, and he had a big presence in this movie. And it was moments with him. It was moments with Will Smith's son Armando. That got me emotional a couple of times. But then you see yourself, and the movie to me got funnier as it progressed. Because like I said, before that helicopter scene, the jokes were kind of ho hum, and I was like, this is kind of okay. But then after that, and becoming invested in the events that are happening in the movie, Martin Lawrence's character dying, and then having this revelation, and Joe Pantoliano coming to him with something that's very un-Bad Boys, where you get this fantasy setting that you've never seen in a Bad Boys movie, but it fit here, So, and then I have to really check, but there's always in this particular series. That's why I even give it that Fast and Furious kind of energy. Was the old actors coming back, and then a character like Reggie, who was always dissed and always he's a goof. And then in this movie, he came into his own. And then you're like, holy shit, Reggie. And then him getting kind of accepted, like, by the father figures. You know,
Reggie's the Marine?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Who was, like, I'm pretty sure he's been in every movie, but he was always the goof. He was always the goof. Like, Reggie, get the
role too. Yeah.
Exactly. He never had many lines.
never had many lines.
And in this movie, it feels earned because, like, oh, yeah, I know Reggie because Reggie's been in since the first one. The first and the second one, I forget. But what this series does, like I said, it gives the audience already has a trust with these characters, and it just makes you like want to root for them because you know they're gonna get in some extreme situation, and you're gonna root for them to kind of win, right? But it was done really well, and I would even say that this movie was better than the third. It felt bigger, and it felt more than the third one. The third one was like a real big action movie, and I just don't think the third one was good, but it never got to the level of parts 1 and 2. But this one, I think, meets part 1 and 2 in that level, where the third one was good, but it didn't meet those other two. I honestly, I want to go home and see if the third one's in on a streaming service, because I want to watch the third one again, you know what I mean? But those are my initial thoughts, guys, yeah. We're going to go a second, and then the third round will be like our scores.
Right.
Yeah. I think you were talking about maybe adding on to it moving forward. I think 2 of those applauses were for Armando.
And scenes with them, those are the scenes that I got the most emotional with, those scenes with Armando.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe we might see a little something. I don't know if they'll still say Bad Boys, but something with Armando and moving a little past, because also Howard's daughter and granddaughter had a little bit of a role. I didn't know Howard's daughter was.
Those are new characters in this one.
Are they
those
new? Okay.
Those are 2 new characters. I mean, I recognize the actress because I'm a big fan of Better Call Saul, and she was a huge part of it, the one who wanted to shoot Armando.
Yeah.
So I recognized her, you know. And the villain was a villain kind of sort of in Euphoria.
I don't know his name.
I don't mean either.
Yeah.
But I just know faces. You know?
Right.
But he was incredible in Euphoria, and the villain, which it sucks that he got killed in this one, but he was great in this.
But out of style, though.
He just has this intensity.
Yes.
You know, but Mark, I'm sorry. Like,
No,
you started
good.
talking,
I like
and
it.
I just started getting.
Yeah.
You know?
But I definitely see it going somewhere. I do think they got a little more exploratory again with the camera angles and that Call of Duty style going through the Gatorland.
The camera stuff was fantastic. Like literally, it's like a camera that like floats around with all. Like I
think Will Smith put it on his Instagram page.
I saw that. Yes.
Yeah. Like it was almost like a rotating camera. But think of like. This is the only one that comes. There's been other movies, but this is the one that comes to me. Like Lord of the Rings, in the first one, when like the final scene when the orcs are like chasing up the hill, like chasing Frodo, and then you got like that camera floating and like just, and it does that, but even sharper in this one, you know. But it's a bit.
That was my other thoughts on it. I'm like, okay, maybe let's see what's coming down the pipeline with some of these characters moving past it. So I'm really excited. I think. You might see another movie or 2. I think Marcus and Mike may have a lesser role, but still a role nonetheless. And they'll try to maybe continue the franchise. I'm not talking, Fast 10 kind of thing, but we don't know. We don't know, right?
They're going to space, punching dinosaurs or something.
I just see enhancer hairlines in there, so I'm just saying.
Dragging 100-ton safe
exactly,
with
or
a car.
Like Vin Diesel flipping a car with one hand.
Armando in that jail scene with the weights, and that was that was pretty bad.
No, but I do know what you mean. Like you can see kind of like the hair with Will Smith and like with Martin Lawrence. I mean, they're older. You can see it in Will Smith's neck. Like his face doesn't change, but his neck you could tell.
A little bit, right?
Yeah. But it's okay. These guys have been doing it forever now. This particular role. Sorry, Jason.
No. I'm listening. And then a couple of things that I liked about the movie. One thing was, I like they explored the relationship between Will Smith and his son.
Yes.
That was pretty cool. And they finally...
His son-in-law. That's his son-in-law.
Son-in-law? Okay. Yeah. And then also, because they, because at first, obviously the last movie and this movie, at first they were not, really close, but they slowly got a little closer and closer.
Wait, Armando's not his son? I thought it was his son.
No, Armando is his son.
Oh.
I think you were talking about... No, I got it confused. I think I'm talking. I thought you were talking about Martin Lawrence and Reggie.
Yeah. Oh no! I'm talking about Armando.
Sorry. You're right. Sorry.
So Will Smith, his character Mike, and Armando,
yes,
which is his son. They showed a pretty, like, it was an interesting evolving relationship, and so towards the end, like you see them, they accepted each other, and then he was like, if he didn't do all that stuff in the past, like I was thinking, hey, he's gonna be the boyfriend of that one lady's girl, right? Because he saved her life. Remember, she's like, "Don't shoot her, Mom. Don't shoot her, Mom."
But she was a kid.
She was a kid.
But
the granddaughter. Howard's granddaughter. Nah.
Well, she's getting up there. I don't know.
Maybe date the daughter, but.
Well, maybe we, she got older or something. But like, Mom, don't.
Sugar daddy.
And then I like the whole running joke about Martin Lawrence loving sweets, and like in the middle of that
was fun.
That middle of that gunfight.
Yeah, cheesy. I don't know. That was cheesy with the gun.
I was okay with
the black jelly bean.
Okay,
I was like, what is this?
I was like, all right.
What is this, a comedy?
That's what I was like. I mean, Bad Boys is partly a comedy. I mean, Martin Lawrence is a comedian, right?
But they really stretched it in that scene.
Yeah, it didn't pick up for me. Like I said, those comedy
that
bits
before the chopper.
Yeah, but when the chopper came, and after that, I was like, whoa.
The chopper, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But I was more invested in the action and the comedy. I was more invested in
that chopper scene was almost like a Mission Impossible Tom Cruise scene.
Totally.
It was intense.
It was good though.
If he didn't open that case, that guy would have been a goner.
And it was always last minute.
I don't know why that plane pilot wasn't a goner. I don't know how he survived either. Listen,
Mike Lowry and I finished.
That was crazy. They didn't even introduce the pilot really.
Oh no, there's the two pilots. No, the one that got killed, and then the other one.
The old guy, Santa Claus.
He could have fallen into the gator pit, come out, and still been alive. The Santa Claus would have still been alive.
Oh my goodness! And
Duke will be a recurring character, the albino alligator.
I know, right?
But all in all, a lot of fun. I think it's gonna do well. People are fans of these movies. I remember I was when this first came out, I was living in Japan, and it came out, and what was that, 92 or 93 or something? Michael Bay. And then I remember seeing it in Tower Records in Shinjuku, Tokyo, and like all the or HMV, I forgot what it was, all the new album soundtrack, Bad Boys, and I was like, listen to the station, Bad Boys, and I saw Inner Circle live in Japan. Anyway, I'm getting on a different pod. Cool. But it was a lot of fun. Scores.
Yes, this is very entertaining. It's not like some super solid movie, like Oscar-worthy movie, but if we're talking about like an entertaining movie that you could play in the house, like replay, and like you'll stop and kind of watch it, laugh, and like continue with your stuff. Like this is a very replayable movie, a very enjoyable movie, and this definitely, the Bad Boys series, this being number 4, and I think there's going to be more. This is my assumption. Is going strong, and I think this was a lot of fun. This is like definitely like. I would say like a 7.5 because the beginning comedy was like, it was cool, but a little bit like a little bit groan-inducing at points. But like I said, after a certain point, I was invested in the action and the comedy and the characters and the recurring characters.
Sure.
Exactly. Vanessa Hudgens coming back, the tall guy Ludwig who was in Vikings, him coming back. Like I love that they're loyal to these characters coming back. Yeah. And probably we met some new ones that'll come back in the next one. So that's where the Fast and Furious energy is for me. But 7.5 for me. Mark?
Yeah, I'd give it a 7.9. Not quite an 8, but like you said, it's a replayable movie. It's something that I would go back in there and watch it again right now. I just I can sit there and it's good laughs, great action.
Never slow. It was
never slow.
The whole totally engaged the whole time.
Absolutely, train going forward, no stops. It was very solid movie. I definitely recommend for sure.
Very nice.
7.9.
My score would be a 7.8, and I think it will be received very well. And then, let me ask you this: do you think the scene where Martin Lawrence is slapping Will Smith, is that like a little like?
Like an outtake,
making him fun of himself because how he slapped Chris Rock. I don't know.
It could be actually. I think that could be very sincerely. That's a great point, and we're not joking.
Because he did it like 3 or 4 times, harder and harder and harder.
I believe you. No.
Huh?
I need to pick up on that.
No. There was a lot of little things like that, but no, that's a great point. Sincerely, because I didn't even think of that. That's a great point.
I think he,
sincerely.
we all know he acknowledged that he did, something.
And his career, like since that slap, like he made a movie like the Slave movie that went to Apple and nobody saw it.
No.
And he's done other things, but like nobody's like been.
Right. So this might be his little.
Hopefully, let's see how, because this year has been, as we've discussed, so crazy with the box office where everything's failing. It seems, like
and even Kevin Spacey's coming out with something. So there's some people trying to revive.
People
it.
care.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Let's see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
2024. What do you think is going to happen?
But you said 7.8 then.
7.8. Yes.
This one's
oh
a
yeah,
crowd pleaser.
and the fact that this is the perfect movie to see, like in a Dolby theater, like where we saw, because you got the music, the sound, the explosions, the
I know
bullets.
Will Smith's gun sounded like a hammer. Like, boom! Like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
But like you said, like nowadays, it's like you got to see it in either Dolby Prime or IMAX.
That makes it worth. That makes it worth going to the movie theater, because I think that's a big reason why a lot of people are not coming to the movies, because they just, dude, I'd rather just kind of watch it at home.
Yeah, like
You know
one
what
of
I
these
mean?
smaller theaters. Like,
Yeah, it's like to watch it here.
The seats aren't that good anymore.
They're like, I'll just watch shit at home.
And then
So seeing it in a Dolby or an IMAX or a Prime, like it's
like
worth it.
this
Or 4DX.
The screen is not so big.
But the sound is fantastic.
Yeah, you go for the sound.
No, I'm talking about this.
Oh, the small theater.
The smallest theater.
Like,
no, the screen in that is big. But I mean, like one of these smaller ones, it's like they're not even that big.
You'd be like, I'd just rather watch this shit at home.
right,
This movie is a crowd pleaser, though. Like the fact, I can't remember the last time we went to a movie and people were clapping. And this happened 4 times.
Was it 4 times? I didn't even.
You'll usually get it like
I knew it was like 2 or 3, but I didn't realize 4.
when an old character comes back and it's like, okay.
But how many times in
This
a
one
non-Marvel movie?
I didn't expect that.
And people were
And
loving
4
it.
times?
People were
I was
like,
like,
they're like,
yeah.
whoa, fuck, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And then did Reggie have the last laugh? Was he the very last
Scene, he was.
Because he looked into the camera, broke
and
the
he
fourth
smiled.
wall, and he smiled. Right?
I
So
remember when they were introduced to the character, and that's when I think taking the daughter to prom, and they opened the door, and that's that whole interaction. So
what was that? The first or the second? I forget.
I think was it not the first one?
Could have been. I
I think
forget.
it was the first one. Yeah.
But like I said, I love that they're loyal to the characters. Fellas,
Right, I
we're
know.
gonna finish it up. Any final words before we finish this
Go
up?
out and see it, man. Go out and
Yeah,
see it. Take the
it was
family.
fun.
It's a family-friendly movie.
Yeah.
Go out and see it.
Yeah.
Dolby or Prime.
Filmed in Miami, right?
What about the alligator park? Was that filmed in Miami?
There's that one scene where they're on the beach, and then it's like you see downtown Miami far away. I wonder if that's really a place, or is this like made up?
Could be Vancouver or something. Oh, wait,
Right.
There's little islands out there.
I don't know.
Cuba. We don't know.
Was that north or south of the city? Or
Or Armando went
I have
south
no
to
idea.
Cuba, I think, so we'll see if he comes.
Good
back.
stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for recording this.
Thank
This
you.
is the Paul Has Fun podcast, and this is another one for the books. Thank you, guys.
22:20, 10:20 p.m. on June
Gotta get Mark home. Gotta get Mark home, definitely. you know?
6/6.
Thoughts, comments, suggestions, please do so on the blog at paulhasfun.com, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can go ahead and comment down below. Please support this podcast by doing any or all of your Amazon shopping, which is in the show notes for this episode or the description of this video. Going through that link, you'll still get all the same Amazon prices, but we'll get a little kickback here to go ahead and support the costs for doing this show. Finally, if you want to leave a tip because you found this information useful or very entertaining, there's a PayPal link to do so in the show notes for this podcast or description for this video. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I will catch you on the next one.